Pink is pretty. Pink is soft. It's time to rethink pink. Pink is possibilities. Pink is the future. Pink is strong and shiny. Pink is what we make it. Rethink Pink with Sunsilk.
Hi everyone, how's it going? Welcome to this Girl Geek Academy Sunsilk Rethink Pink STEM School Holiday Workshop. We are going to have so much fun learning about science today. I am so excited. Sarah, are you excited?
I am so excited. This is going to be great. So we've had, Laura, I don't know if you know, but we have had over 1,000 people register for this workshop. So if you're here today, I'm for real. If you're joining us today, you're part of like 1,000 people all coming together, and we're all going to hang out together. And it's going to be super duper, super fun. So maybe we should start by introducing ourselves.
I think that's a good idea. Well, I guess I'm talking, so I will start. So hi everyone, my name's Laura. I am a girl geek and I am also a total tech lover specifically, but I love all things STEM. And by that, I mean, I am a video game developer. So I make video games for my job. That means I live, breathe, everything about my life pretty much revolves around games. So if anyone in the chat loves video games at all, please let me know what you're playing, or if you want to have a chat about it, because honestly, I am so obsessed with games and I just want to talk about it forever, basically.
I love it. And hello, everybody. My name's Sarah, and I'm the co-founder and CEO of Girl Geek Academy. So we're teaching women and girls to come together and learn about STEM, science, technology, engineering, and maths. And I'm so excited that you could all make it along today. So let's get to it.
Honestly, this is going to be so much fun. I'm so excited. Now, we're just going to go into something really, really important just before we get further into the lesson. So we're just going to do an address to country. So we'd like to acknowledge the Wurundjeri people of the Kulin Nation, who are the traditional owners of the land on which we're recording today. And we just want to acknowledge their elders past, present, and emerging. So, STEM. Sarah, do you know much about STEM?
Do I ever? I'm so glad you asked. So STEM stands for science, technology, engineering, and maths. And they've all been clumped together into this cute little word called STEM. And we need more women and girls learning STEM like Laura and myself to make sure that there's lots of women and girls in the world building all of the cool stuff. So we're all here today because we want to rethink pink and help girls learn more about STEM careers. So Sunsilk, our friends at Sunsilk did a study, and they spoke to over 1,000 women and girls across New Zealand and Australia, and they asked their thoughts about, you know, what does it mean to support a young girl's career in STEM. And mums said they need to feel a bit more knowledgeable and have a bit more understanding in order to be able to support their daughters and their career ambitions. And we found a couple of other stats along the way as well, Laura. If you want to have a look, what have we got?
So we've got this stat here. It says 81% believe that STEM-related fields of work will be important in the future. I can believe that one. What do you reckon, Sarah? Do you reckon STEM-related fields of work will be important in the future?
I know they will be. That's why I'm a technologist. I love it. What other stats have we come up with?
I agree. We also say that 47% have a strong belief that gender imbalance is limiting progress, we've got hard talk, and innovation.
It's
What do
true.
you reckon, chat? I think I agree with that. It's definitely true. And lastly, we found out, us and Sunsilk found out that 12% of Australian women would like to pursue a career in STEM, but they don't know where to start.
Don't know where to start. Lucky we're here to give everyone a bit of a head start on where to start looking if you wanted to pursue a career in STEM.
I agree. Sometimes it can be a bit confusing knowing where to start. So that's why we're here to help. Now, just some things we're going to keep in mind during this workshop as well, just before we do get into the nitty and gritty of it all. Let's just remember that we're all going to learn at a different pace during this session, and that is totally fine. It's actually really exciting, because it means that we can be awesome role models to each other and help each other out along the way. So if you're doing something and you're a bit confused, or you have some questions, or maybe you just don't even understand some terminology, completely fine. Just ask in the chat. We're all here to help each other out. You know, STEM is totally a marathon. It's not a sprint. There's no way we're going to understand everything instantly. So we're here to help each other out. We're here to lift each other up and make sure we're having such an awesome time learning about science today. Do you agree with that, Sarah?
Absolutely. Let's get in and get learning together.
Let's have a chat about science. Hey, let's start with that one. So science is the study of the world around us. pretty broad, I would say. That's a pretty broad kind of statement. But it's super awesome because it means we get to have lots and lots of fun doing experiments and asking questions about stuff that we might sometimes take for granted. So tell us in the chat, what's something cool that you like about science, or maybe something you'd like to know a little bit more about science? Sarah, do you have any favorite things to do with science? I'm saying that quite broadly, but like anything at all to do with science that you're a fan of.
I always think about science and cooking because I am a terrible cook, like just straight up terrible. But the part of the reason I'm terrible is because I love cooking as in experiments. So for example, a few weeks ago, I wondered what happened if you just put cheese in the fry pan. No bread, no anything. It was amazing, and the results of the experiment, 5 stars. Highly recommend.
What happens? What does it do?
If you can burn it. I definitely had some bad runs where it went black, but you can also create almost like the top of a grilled cheese without the bread, which I just didn't think was actually possible, but it is possible. So look, that's one of the brilliant things about being an adult who still likes to experiment is you come up with creative results like that. So there we go.
I kind of want to eat that. I feel like my favorite thing about science at the moment, still learning, but at the moment my favorite thing about science is probably I'm super interested in space. I am so fascinated. I think there's so many cool things about space. My favorite planet is Pluto, and I love that there's always drama about if it's a planet or not. Let us know in the chat, is Pluto a planet at the moment? I can't even remember because it seems like it's always changing. And I'm super interested in black holes, so I'm a total space nerd. I absolutely love like space and physics. It's like totally up my alley. I'm into it. Speaking of like cooking and space, you know, they seem like they're kind of far apart, but let's have a brainstorm in the chat. What kind of things involve science? What are some things you can think of that involve science? We've got some examples up here: electricity, medicines, clean water, agriculture, and more. What else do you think could fit onto that kind of banner of science? And mums and, you know, guardians, you are welcome to, we want you to, you know, contribute as well. We want to hear from everyone at the moment. So what are some other things you think of that might involve science? We can be kind of broad with this. Do you think of any other, Sarah, that might involve science?
I've already said food science. Another one is computer science. So that's, you know, coding and, you know, learning how to program computers. That is computer science. What else? You've also got.
I'm thinking that there's a bit of science in shampooing our hair and taking care of our hair, and even the way our hair is even on our body. Like it's pretty, I don't know, I find it fascinating.
Well, my sister is a hairdresser, and
oh, really?
And so some of the great things that she learns is the chemistry of how, you know, to dye someone's hair. Also lots of things around, you know, like shaping people's hair and what, you know, like a perm or someone straightening their hair, and like lots of different things. But it's, you know, the fundamentals of that are all chemistry, which is pretty exciting.
Interesting. Bit of foreshadowing for the rest of the session. But we'll get into that just in a bit. But let's have a quick chat about science jobs, because I know sometimes when we think about science, I don't know if you've ever felt like this, Sarah, but sometimes when I think about science, it's kind of like, okay, that's like something fun. I'll maybe make an explosion in a test tube, and that's like it. Like I don't actually know what a job in science looks like, but there's heaps of jobs in science. We've got some on the screen here. So just a couple examples of some jobs in science. So things like zoologist, forest scientist, meteorologist. I could totally be a meteorologist. Archaeologist, engineer, radiology technician. Like there's so many different kind of jobs in science. I personally wanted to be a paleontologist for a really long time. I didn't actually realize that fit into the kind of the science category, but I love dinosaurs. I like always wanted to kind of like get on the site and pick some up. Let us know in the chat. Can you think of any other examples of science jobs, or are any of these science jobs on screen kind of screaming your name? Anyone reckon they could be a good zoologist? I think that'd be a pretty fun job. It's pretty fun to me.
Great jobs in there that I look, if we had 10 versions of ourselves, we could have one of those jobs each.
That sounds right to me. And one of the other cool things about science is obviously there's lots of jobs we can do in it, and you know, there's kind of a pretty broad kind of subject, I would say. but it's the kind of thing we can get started doing at home today. Foreshadowing, hint, hint. Now, just off the bat, who reckons they might have done some science experiments at home? I'm going to be pretty broad with the definition of an experiment here. I'm going to say if you've ever kind of had to play around with something, potentially chemically, physically, something has happened and you're like, hey, that's kind of interesting. I'm calling that a science experiment. So maybe you've burnt your toast. I'm calling that a science experiment because maybe you learned something interesting from it. Who has done maybe an interesting science experiment at home? What was it? And did you learn anything from it? I'm interested in that. I've definitely had some science experiments in my fridge, that's for sure. Bit alarming.
And for those of you who don't know what Laura's talking about, she means that sometimes when you accidentally leave things in the fridge too long and you forget they're there, they grow mold.
They get kind of gross. That's definitely a science experiment that I've accidentally done, so I wouldn't recommend it.
We've all done it. It's all been done, but it was an experiment, right? Like we were just wondering what would happen if it just stayed there a bit longer than it should have.
And I learnt bad things.
No.
Yeah, so there's lots and lots of different kind of awesome science experiments that we can do at home. And some of you might have already done them in the chat. So, for example, I don't know if anyone in the chat's ever heard of this kind of egg floating in a glass of water experiment, but you can test kind of the different densities of water. When you float an egg in it, you can put a bit of salt in there, different things happen to the egg. And it's a super fun experiment that a few of you might have done, super easy to do, just about like, figuring out kind of what floats in salt water, what floats in.
Have you done this one, Laura?
I actually haven't, but I used to watch a science show when I was growing up called Scope, and they did this on Scope, and I haven't done it, but I think about it all the time.
You just reminded me, we were on Scope, so maybe I should share that with people afterwards. But yes, I probably should have invited Lee along, but I didn't.
What?
There you go. Things you learn every day. But yes.
Tell us in the chat. Have you heard of Scope?
Amazing TV show.
Yes.
Yeah, and you can still catch up on it online as well.
That is so cool.
In case you need more science. Plenty more science.
In case you need more. So that's just a bit of science experiments we can do at home, but there's also a lot of science, and we were talking about it before, a lot of science involved in our hair. Now, our hair might seem like, pretty standard, right? Like we're super used to it and we know how to take care of it, but like, it's actually a lot of science going on in there. It's pretty cool, now tell us in the chat, have you ever kind of thought about some of the science that might go into not only keeping our hair on our head, but keeping it looking super awesome? Because there's a whole bunch of different things we can do to our hair. Sarah was mentioning before, and they're all science experiments on our hair. So tell us in the chat, what are some awesome science kind of things that you could do with your hair? What you learn about with your hair? Can you think of any? Sarah, you kind of actually mentioned some already. Perm, hair straightening.
Yep, hair straightening, dyeing your hair.
That's a cool one.
That's an experiment, and there's a whole heap of science in that. So yeah, there's a lot to learn about. If you can accidentally dye your hair, you can dye it one color and it definitely doesn't look like that. So if there's anyone who's had that experience in the chat, maybe some of our parents and guardians, feel free to tell us of some of the hair experiments you've accidentally had.
Yeah.
But part of that, like the reason that we would dye our hair and it becomes the wrong color is because the chemistry is wrong. So we've, maybe if you want to, by the way, if you want to go from blonde to a dark brown, you have to go through red first.
Do you?
You have to fill your hair, because what will happen is if you go straight to like a Lura color, if I dyed my hair from this color to Lura's color, it would go green if I don't put red in it. I have not done that, thankfully, but I have almost done it. So yes, until I learned about the science behind it. So if that's ever happened to you, let us know in the chat. And now you know why. Well, you know a little bit about why.
That is good to know. That is good to know. Now, one of the science experiments that we do on our hair pretty regularly, that I did on my hair this morning, and by the way, I don't know if you can tell, it's been particularly shiny today. We shampoo our hair.
We do.
Some of us more than others. Now, the reason we shampoo our hair, and chat, this is might seem like pretty obvious information, but often that we shampoo our hair because it gets dirty. But I don't know about you, Sarah, but a lot of the time when I shampoo my hair, I'm just doing that. Like, I don't really know why my hair's dirty. Sometimes I think, maybe it's just like suctioning up gunk.
Yeah.
whatever that means. But it's actually interesting to know a bit about how your hair is suctioning up gunk. So tell us in the chat, has anyone ever heard the word sebum before? I have actually.
Yeah, I've heard the word. I wouldn't know what it is. Sebum sounds like a weird character in an alien TV show to me.
I agree.
The Sebums from space would make a really great alien TV show to me.
Yeah, actually, I would watch that. So in actual real life science, though, sebum is basically the natural oils that are in our hair. And they're really good to have because they make sure our hair stays protected, and it's really basically oil. Now, because it is oil, that does mean that it can kind of build up after a while and it makes our hair look greasy. And, I don't know if anyone's ever left like a bit of oil in a frying pan or something overnight, but sometimes like stuff gets stuck in there. And that's basically what's happening as well when our hair gets dirty. When we've got lots of oil in it, gunk just gets stuck in the oil. So it kind of is like suctioning up gunk. And the reason we need shampoo is because, I don't know, has anyone ever got oil on a frying pan, for example, and you just try to wash it off with water? Tell us in the chat what happens if you just use water to try and wash oil away.
Or like when you get oil on your hands, or if you've like sometimes maybe you've had like chips on your hands and like something that's oily, and then you just you go, oh, I've run out of soap, I'll just wash it on water. Really and then you hold up your hands and they're all shiny.
Yeah, it doesn't get it off. Shampoo is basically just getting rid of that oil for us. Yeah, it's getting rid of the sebum, it's getting rid of that natural oil in our hair. So that is what's going on there. Quiz question. Tell us in the chat.
Quiz question. Tell us in the chat.
If sebum in our hair is what makes it look dirty, then why do some people tend to like to wash their hair a bit more than others? Tell us in the chat. Why do you think that might be? Why might some people feel like they might need to wash their hair a bit more frequently than others? It's got something to do with sebum.
Are we gonna do the how often do you shampoo your hair question? Or is that
we could do that.
No, is that
we could do that.
No.
I feel like it depends.
Well, that's it. It does depend. It even depends as you get older. So I used to wash my hair every day, but mainly because I loved the feeling. I loved it. Oh, it feels so clean. But now as I get older, if I shampoo it every day, it gets dry because it doesn't have enough oil in it. And so for me, I've had to change. I don't wash it as often. And I had to learn to get used to that because then I didn't know how to keep it dry when I didn't want to wash it. And you learn a lot of things. So I'm doing my own new experiments now that I don't wash it every day. But
yeah. So, I mean, we suggest that if you do wash your hair a bit more frequently, or you like to wash your hair a bit more frequently, it might be because you just naturally produce a little bit more sebum. And, as we go through different stages in our lives, as Sarah said, sometimes you produce a little bit more sebum than other stages in your life. And that's why some people might need to wash their hair a bit more than others. Not need to, like to. I think washing your hair, do it when you want to. I wash my hair once a week, I'm very sorry to say.
No, sorry, that's good. My hairdresser sister, that is good. Yes, she gets at me for doing it not once, like for doing it more than once a week. So, I mean, it depends, right? Because your hair is different to my hair. And you don't have my sister to annoy you about how frequently you should wash your hair.
This is very true. All right. So we actually kind of already talked a little bit about how shampoo works, but yeah, basically it is cutting away that sebum. It's basically like soap for our hair, right? Yeah, so it basically kind of cleans, protects, and moisturizes our hair. Now, if we're going to get into technicalities, shampoo is cool because it contains something called sulfurants, which emulsifies the sebum in our hair and lets it mix with water.
Surfactant.
Surfactant? Did I just read that wrong?
Surfactant is what I've been told it said, but I liked your surfactant.
Look, Sarah,
is how it said.
You've got the hairdresser sister, so I think you might know more than me.
Surfactants and sebums from space. Like we'll just have our own little.
That's very true.
Show over here.
So basically what shampoo's doing is when we wash it with water, it takes away the emulsion, takes away the dirt and grease in our hair. And tell us in the chat if you know what emulsion is as well. Big word, but maybe you'll be able to get a bit of a hint from. So after talking about soap, shampoo, and lots of other awesome hair stuff, let's do an experiment. Chat, let us know in the chat. Shall we do an experiment? Let's learn a little bit about soap, how it works, what's going on there. And so basically what we're going to need for this science experiment, we will post a list of things you'll need, but what we're going to need is we'll need one bowl, some water, some pepper, and some dish soap. And we're going to post a list of instructions in the chat, but you're also welcome to follow along with me while I do this. You're welcome to go at your own pace, but I'm going to go through it on screen and you're welcome to follow along with me.
And we recommend that if you follow along with us, you can do this later. It's just, you know, pepper and dish soap and some water and a bowl. And you'll be able to do it afterwards, and you'll be able to show other people that you know this cool new experiment that you have just learned.
This is very true. I love this experiment. I find it fun. Sarah, do you have any idea what science experiment we might do? Have you heard of this one before?
Oh, well, we were just talking about shampoo. And I'm thinking that the dish soap and the water is very similar to shampoo. And that maybe we might be learning a little bit about the effect, like, you know, because we were just talking about how shampoo works and how, you know, it works to we emulsify and we do things that and we've got surfactants going on. So I reckon ballpark, it's something around that kind of thing.
Good guess. Let's have a go and see what we learn from it. That's the way I like to do science. So what we're going to do first is we're going to get our handy dandy water and we're going to take off the lid and we're just going to put a little bit in a bowl. It's going to be a very careful pour. I'm just going to pour some in a bowl, pouring until you've kind of got like a happy amount. Like, I don't know, my bowl's like half full, so maybe go for that. And then that is the first step. Nice work, everyone. We've got a bowl full of water. How good's that? The next thing we're going to do is we're going to get our pepper and we are going to I've got to crack mine. Maybe you'll just shake the pepper. I'm just going to pop some in the bowl. Crack the pepper. Now you can use as much or as little as you want. Probably don't go too crazy with it, but you can use a little bit. So I'm just cracking my pepper in the bowl. Oh my gosh. Makes me want to sneeze. Oh my gosh. Seriously, I might. Okay.
Warnings of science experiments. Pepper up the nose. Be careful.
Seriously, I forgot that pepper makes a sneeze. Anyway. So now what we're going to do, chat, is get your finger and just pop it in the water. See what happens. Tell me in the chat what happens. Put your finger in the water. It's not particularly exciting yet. I have just got a bunch of pepper on my finger. Love that. Interesting. So nothing happened. I put my finger in the water and the pepper just kind of didn't care. It was like, all right, that's cool. Now what we're going to do is we're going to get our dish soap and we're just going to like put a tiny little bit on the end of our finger. Squeeze a tiny little bit of dish soap on your finger. Oh, I've got a lot on there, but you know what? The more the merrier. So I now have, I'm trying to like show the camera without this like leaking everywhere. I've got dish soap on the end of my pepper covered finger. Very neat. And I'm going to put, before I put my finger in this pepper, water. Tell me, chat, what do you think is going to happen? If you have any idea, I've got soap on my finger now. What do you think is going to happen? What's in the chat? It's all right if you don't know. It's all right if you're just having a guess. Let's just try to figure it out. I'm going to see what happens. I'm going to put my finger in this water. Oh my gosh. Pepper's gone everywhere. Basically, so what's happened here is the pepper looks like it's running away from my finger. Now, is there any super, super smart science lovers in the chat who might know why the pepper is running away from my finger? Anyone know why that might be? I know the answer to this because I know everything. I don't, but I know this. So basically what's happening is when we have water, it's got a really high surface tension, which basically means all the little bits of water, all the little particles of the water, they're super tight together. And when we put the pepper on top of the water, it's basically just showing where all the different particles in the water are or where the tension in the water is. Now, that means when I put my finger in the water, and there was kind of nothing on the end of my finger, you know, the tension didn't really care. It was like, okay. And we could see that it didn't really care because the pepper didn't move. The pepper was just stuck in my finger. But when I put soap on the end of my finger and put it in the water, all the pepper ran away because I kind of dispersed the tension, the surface tension in the water. So that's kind of how you can see, different surface tension in the water. And if you do want to have a bit of a further experiment with this, you can have a go with less pepper and have a go with a different soap. And let us know in the chat, what happens if you use a different soap? Do they do the same thing? Does nothing happen? Let us know. And let us know if you did that and what you found. Did you have the same thing as me? I wonder if different brands of dishwashing liquid do similar things.
Aww.
I'm just going to get a tissue because my finger's now covered in pepper. Just got to clean that up really quick. So there we go. So that is our first kind of quick little science experiment. We're going to do a few little quick science experiments during this session, but that's kind of fun. Has anyone ever done that one before? Sarah, have you ever done that one before?
I haven't, but I think it was really popular, and lots of people were sharing it about a year ago when we were talking about washing our hands regularly. So that's another thing was to show is like, what does soap do, and how does it help us keep things clean? And so that's why we thought it would be a good one to look at today, and about thinking about how shampoo works and how it can help us keep our hair clean.
Very, very true. Cool. So that's how kind of like general cleaning products can work with water. But let's go back to shampoo. Now tell us in the chat, what are some other things shampoo can do when we wash our hair with it? Shampoo sometimes can have a few jobs. Like sometimes, when you go to the shop and it's like shampoo for this and this and this and this. It seems like sometimes shampoo can have a lot of different things it can do. What are some things you can think of that shampoo can do that isn't just washing your hair? Sarah, can you think of any?
Oh, well, I was thinking more about the different types of hair, like different types of shampoo for different types of hair. So I know when I'm looking, there's, I've got blonde hair, and sometimes with blonde hair, you can use purple shampoo.
That's true.
And the purpose of purple shampoo is it also has toner in it, which means that when you use purple shampoo, so rather than my hair going kind of a weird yellow, brassy color from the harshness of the water, if I use purple shampoo, then it tones it to make it more of a whiter blonde. Yeah, so that's one type of shampoo that I might use. And then I have one at the moment where, as I mentioned, my hair had been a bit dry. And so the one that I'm using at the moment makes my hair stronger for different reasons. And it helps maintain the current strength of my hair and hopefully make it stronger.
That's what I've got too. My hair, I have a lot of split ends. I don't know if anyone else in the chat has split ends, but I am in desperate need of a haircut and I can't get one at the moment. So I have been getting shampoo that makes my hair stronger as well and nice and silky to kind of like tame down my split ends because they're everywhere. Get rid of them. So yeah, there is lots and lots of different things shampoo can do with us, do for our hair that isn't just washing it. So it can soften our hair, make it shiny, stronger, change the color, and it can also make sure that dye stays in our hair as well. Some shampoos do that. Now let's have a little bit of a chat about dyeing our hair because that is some pretty cool science that we kind of touched on a little bit before. There's some very cool science going on with dyeing our hair. It involves stuff like art as well, which is very cool. So here's a little bit of a color combination kind of option from Bedhead's TGI Bedhead Color Trip Hair Dye. And this is just two of the options. So you can see we've got some different shades of pink going on, some different shades of violet. Tell us in the chat, what shades do you like the best there? And how did they come up with those different shades? What colors did they have to combine? Do you have a favorite color combo there, Sarah?
Oh, I mean, look, I like all of those because I always wanted to dye my hair pink. And as I said, my sister is a hairdresser and she refused for so many years. Do you know what she did? She dyed my nana's hair pink before she dyed my hair pink.
Oh my gosh, why? Oh, Sarah.
Like, huh? And I looked at my sister and she went, So I like all of those colors because I would love all of those colors in my hair, but I have to wait until my sister says that I'm allowed, or until I go to the shops to buy some Bedhead, TG Bedhead Color Trip.
You could do that. I have always wanted to dye my hair too. I tried to dye my hair pink once, just the ends, and it didn't take. It didn't take the dye. Now, tell us in the chat, has anyone ever, maybe this is for like maybe the mums or guardians in the chat, have you ever tried to dye your hair and the color didn't work? It didn't take the color in? Let us know in the chat. Sometimes that can happen. And Sarah was kind of chatting a little bit about it before, about sometimes why dye doesn't take. We're going to learn about it I find it so interesting because to me, hair dye is just like, I feel like I'm just painting stuff and then it just like stays on. Like I don't understand. But the science behind dyeing your hair is actually really, really cool. So we're going to have a quick chat about that now. And then after we've kind of talked a little bit about this, we're going to jump into some more science experiments. We're not going to dye our hair though, don't worry, parents and guardians. no hair dyeing happening today. So basically our hair is kind of made up of 3 layers. And when we dye our hair, basically what we do is we're kind of trying to seal the dye into our hair even after we wash it. That's kind of like the end goal. We want to like lock the color into our hair. And when I tried to dye my hair pink, obviously I didn't lock the color in very well because it just came out pretty instantly. Well, it wasn't very visible anyway, but it came out very, very quickly afterwards. But basically, we go through a bit of a process when we dye our hair. First, we open up the cuticle, which if you remember, does it say it in this image? I wonder. It does. So the cuticle is like, you can see my hair. It's like the little outer bit. So basically the first thing we want to do is we want to open up the cuticle, and then often we need to bleach our hair to kind of make the color pop. It's going to react with kind of the melanin in our hair. So let us know if you know that word melanin, and it will take the color away. So when I dyed my hair pink, I didn't bleach it. So I skipped step 2 there. Now, after we've bleached our hair, we're going to add dye precursors, which are basically like little small particles that are going to get into our cuticle, into the outer layer of our hair, and they're going to react. Basically, they're going to get in there and they're going to become larger particles. So they won't be able to get out of our cuticles once we've kind of closed it all up. And then once we close up the cuticle, the color's stuck in there because it's extra big and it can't get out. That's kind of how it works. Here's a little diagram so we can kind of see what the process might look like under a microscope. So we can see on the kind of top layer, we can see on the top left-hand side, we've got a normal hair shaft. It's closed. It's looking all pretty smooth down. And then we open up the cuticle a little bit. We can see that little feelers kind of stand up a little bit. And then we bleach it so the color sticks. And then we put the little tiny dye particles in there. We make them get bigger and we close it all up. They're kind of stuck in there.
So that's what I was saying earlier about filling the hair. So you have to open it up, and then if your hair is already quite dark, you need to lighten it so that then you can fill it with the color that you're actually trying to make it that color.
Yeah.
And you want to make sure that when you're filling it, that it's the right combination of colors. So sometimes we can dye our hair and it doesn't come out the color we want because the color we dyed it last time wasn't gonna match with the color we want to dye it this time. So that's how sometimes when you know, maybe you've seen somebody and they're like, that's an interesting color, and they're like, oh, it wasn't what I wanted. It's because maybe they didn't think about what color they dyed it last time and how it would affect the color they were going to dye it this time. Kind of like what you were saying, Laura, about how when you thought it was kind of like painting it on. Like when we paint, what happens when you paint something blue and then we paint yellow over the top? Does it go yellow?
It does not.
No. What color does it go?
It goes green.
Yes. And so that's sometimes what happens.
It's a bit like, oh my gosh, I forgot that.
So when we're dyeing our hair sometimes, like if I dyed my hair, there's no other color in it. So it'll just suck it right up. But if I had a color in here already and then I put another color in, it's going to mix those colors together. And so we have to think about actually what we're doing. So if any of you at home, any parents or guardians or anyone who knows anybody and they're like accidentally dyed their hair the wrong color, that's why.
That is cool. Oh, there you go.
There you go.
Let us know in the chat if you have ever dyed your hair. I was curious. Anyone else had a hair dye mishap like me? Have you ever had a hair dye mishap, Sarah?
I feel like I have. I once dyed it black. And the mishap wasn't dyeing it black because black will go over any color, but then getting back to blonde, if I dyed it too quick, when we're talking about opening up the cuticle, we then have to take that color back out, right? And to go from black, it takes a long time so that the hair doesn't break.
Wow.
And so I had to kind of go through phases of lighter and lighter until I got back to blonde.
Oh, interesting. That sounds frustrating.
It is for my sister.
Yeah, I could believe it.
Yeah.
Wow.
Don't dramatically dye your hair black. if you can avoid it.
Good idea. Good advice. Sound advice from Sarah. Now, let us know in the chat, have you ever used conditioner? I know I have. I love conditioner. It's like my favorite thing ever. I use heaps of conditioner. I'm a bit of a conditioner fiend, really. And conditioner is a little bit different to shampoo in the way that it doesn't really care so much about our sebum. It's not trying to get rid of our natural oils. It is trying to basically make our hair be nice and smooth. And the way it does that is by basically, if you look at the end of a piece of your strand of hair, piece of a strand of your hair, under a microscope, you'll see, and actually, if we go back to this this image, you can kind of see here. Can you see that the cuticle kind of looks a little bit like tiny scales?
Ooh.
I kind of see those as scales. Like they're kind of like, I don't know. I see them as like, maybe it's like a bit like a fish. Tell me in the chat. Do you see the fish? Do you see the scales? Like I feel like the like cuticle is like a little bit like feelers, kind of like scales. And basically when our hair is kind of in need of a bit of a condition, our scales are kind of standing up. Our cuticle scales are standing up and they make our hair look kind of rough. And basically what conditioner does is it just helps kind of smooth our hair scales down and makes it look nice and healthy. So if you see someone with super shiny, super smooth hair, it's because their cuticles are nice and smoothed down. I found that kind of cool. I was like, oh, interesting.
Well, that's why sometimes, if you run out of conditioner and you've just used shampoo, I know for me, when I try to brush my hair, it goes like a boop, like quite a boop.
Our cuticles are going crazy. They're going for it.
And that's why it feels very out there. But then when when you calm your hair down with conditioner, it makes them feel just really happy and nice and smooth.
All right, it's nice. Now I reckon it's time for an experiment.
Yes,
anyone in the chat, let's do an experiment. I am in the mood for an experiment. So we are going to check basically how damaged our hair is, because sometimes if our hair might look a bit rough, it actually might be a bit damaged. You might have 100 million split ends like me. Seriously, if I could count how many there were, take me forever. So basically what we're going to do, it's a pretty quick, pretty easy experiment. We're going to take a section of our hair and we're going to make it damp. And then we're going to put it in between our index fingers and we're going to run our kind of fingers from the tip to the root, or maybe you can't go all the way to the root, but you're just going to basically do this all the way along. And if it feels super rough and uneven when it's damp, that's the sign that you might have some damage. And if it's really, really smooth, it means your cuticles are healthy, your hair scales are laying down, and you've got nice healthy hair. So let's have a go now. Let's just see how we go. If you're feeling brave, you feel like letting us know how healthy your hair is, feel free to let us know. Maybe you feel like having a bit of a brag. Honestly, I'm all for it. And if not, hey, let us know too. My hair's going to be really, really unhealthy because I need a haircut. So let's have a look now. And what we're going to need for this is obviously the only thing we really need to do is dampen our hair. So I have bowl 2.0.
Good. It's not the pepper bowl. It's a different bowl.
Yeah, I mean, look, you can use the pepper bowl if you want, but I mean, do you really want dishwashing soap and pepper in your hair? And if anyone else use different soap, different kind of soap happening in your hair, I wonder what that would do for your hair, actually. That's an interesting question. So I am pouring my water in my bowl. Close that lid. And I'm just going to grab a little bit of my hair. Just grabbed a bit from the back so it doesn't get my headphones wet. And I'm just going to, I can already see that my hair's damaged because it's all kind of, I don't know if you absolutely can't see, but it's all kind of different lengths. When I hold it like this, it kind of feels like it's a bit jaggedy already.
Yeah.
Kind of looks like I have layers, but I did not give it layers. And I'm just going to put it, this is maybe awkward to watch.
I'm just putting it in the bowl and you're putting your hair into the water.
The things you do, right?
Yeah. I'd do it at the same time, but then we'd both be awkward.
It would be. It would be. Someone's got to look elegant here, Sarah.
Yeah.
I'm happy for it to be you. Let us know in the chat. Are you managing to look elegant doing this? If you are, you're awesome. And if you're not, you're awesome too. Okay, so I've got a wet strand of hair. That's what my hair looks like, wet. Let's see how damaged my hair is. So I'm going to put a strand of my hair in between my index finger. And I'm, oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
You don't sound in a healthy mood, Laura.
everyone, bad news, my hair's really damaged. So what's happening for me is whenever I slide my hair up, slide my fingers up the strand of hair, I am getting lots and lots of bunching of my hair. I'm getting like clumps of hair in between my fingers. It's not all sticking together. And that means that my cuticles are standing up. Their scales are definitely rising high. And yeah, it is not healthy hair.
Does it actually feel on your fingers?
It feels really yuck.
Oh, okay.
I think if I had really healthy hair, this would feel really nice. But unfortunately for me, it doesn't feel very nice because it's locked out and I can't get hair.
Well, I'm very tempted to join you because I feel like, but I curled my hair a bit today, and if I wet a bit, I won't know if it's the curling or if my hair's.
Oh, true.
And then it would just be wet then, and then
Yeah, good point. My hair's very naturally straight, so this is my natural hair. But yeah, chat, you probably can't see this. What if I do this? Can you see how like ewy that is? I'm getting a lot of like
hair. It's kind of like what we were talking about. It looks like when you run it up, because that's like teasing your hair.
Yeah.
But it kind of looks like what we were talking about, where if you just shampooed it, like that's what I'd expect it to come out as. As when you went.
Yeah. Anyway, so now that we've had a think about how damaged our hair might be, let's have a brainstorm. What might that hair look like under a microscope? If we kind of know what cuticles look like, we know what they look like if they're healthy and what they look like if they're not so happy. How do you reckon your hair might look like under a microscope? And if you're feeling creative, why not have a go at drawing it? Have a go at drawing it and let us know what you kind of come up with. I'm curious to know. What if I think their hair might look like under a microscope? If you have a microscope, that's extra awesome. But yeah, have a go at drawing it. See what you think your hair might look like. I think I can imagine what my hair might look like. I'm going back to this image and I'm finding what it looks like in stage 2. I think that's what I'm working with here. My scales are standing up. So that's kind of fun. That's like a little science experiment. Should we do another one?
Yes, I want another experiment.
I actually love science experiments. I think they're so fun. So we're kind of going on the same kind of idea here. We're talking about damaged hair and, you know, we're talking about conditioner can make our hair kind of at least feel a bit less damaged and it can make it healthier. Let's check how conditioned our hair is. So again, a pretty simple science experiment. We're going to need a strand of hair for this one. So you're going to have to get one out of your head. So if you're feeling brave, otherwise feel free to watch along. I'm a bit scared to pull a strand of hair out, to be honest with you.
Be able to find a piece of hair in your hairbrush.
Actually, that's a really good idea.
Because then you can't pluck it out of your head, Laura.
That's true. I actually have my hairbrush here. So let me just...
I've got my hairbrush here too.
Here's one I prepared earlier.
Yeah.
Just always have my hairbrush near me. I've got a strand of hair out of my hairbrush.
Ta-da!
And so what we're going to do is once we've got our strand of hair, all we're going to do is we're going to put it in water. We're going to put it in our bowl of water. You can put it in the pep one if you want, but I wouldn't recommend it. Just put it in your normal bowl of water. And if your hair is well conditioned, it's going to sink. If we're going to float. And if our hair is not very well conditioned, it's going to sink, which is interesting. Let's have a go. Get our hair and have a think about why that might be. What are we doing when we put conditioner in our hair? Are we putting oil in our hair? Could that maybe be why our hair is floating when it's well conditioned? I don't know, let me know. What do you think? So I have just done a lot of conditioning on my hair earlier today. I had a bit of fun with the conditioner and I've just put my hair in my bowl of water and it is floating. It's not sinking at all. So I guess that means my hair is very well conditioned.
That reminds me of when sometimes if I go swimming in the pool and I've just conditioned my hair and I feel like a mermaid because it kind of like floats and
that is the best feeling.
It is the best feeling. And,
I love that feeling.
But then I feel bad when I get out and I have to shampoo and condition my hair again after getting out of the pool. But when I'm in the pool and I've just done it and I realize, I feel like a mermaid.
I love that mermaid feeling. It feels so cool. I like spreading it out.
Yeah.
It's a good one.
Yeah.
Let us know in the chat. How well conditioned is your hair? Did anyone get a sinking hair strand? It's like not a good or a bad thing. I'm very curious. Anyway, that's fun. Little experiment there. So there you go. So now we know a little bit about kind of what our hair, kind of what the different products in our hair are doing, what our hair looks like under a microscope, or at least we can kind of have a pretty educated guess about what our hair might look like under a microscope. But I'm just going to quickly go back. I reckon we've got time for one more science experiment.
Experiment.
I love experiments.
Experiment.
So you know how earlier, Sarah, we were talking about different kinds of shampoo and how they can all do different kind of things? Remember how we were talking about shampoo that makes our hair stronger?
Yes.
Let's have a test to see how strong our hair is. And this kind of goes back to like how damaged is our hair. We're going to test how strong our hair is in this one last final experiment. So that's going to be really good. So what we're going to need for this experiment is we are going to need, and again, if you don't have all these things, feel free to watch along and you can have a go after. You'll need a hair clip or bobby pin. I've got a bobby pin here, so I do a lot of sewing. So you need a bobby pin.
That's a safety pin. Is a safety pin safety?
Oh. You'll need a safety pin. I don't think a bobby pin will work. Thank you, Sarah.
No worries.
You're going to need some sort of like a bag. I've got this Ziploc bag here. Need one of those. And you're going to need a few things for this one. You'll need scales. I probably don't need to do the hand trick for these scales. I've just got
the hand on the scales that's great scale modeling.
You'll need some scales, and you're also going to need something to like lift some kind of like platforms. You'll need some platforms. Now I have some yogurt containers, and basically what I'm going to do is I am going to get my yogurt containers. First, I'm going to move my water out of the way to avoid
Okay,
spilling.
so just so we're clear, I don't have scales, a bobby pin or a safety pin, and I don't have platforms. So I am going to watch Laura,
Yes.
and Laura will talk me through the experiment, and I'll watch and I'll think maybe I could go find those things later and show someone about the strength of their hair.
Exactly. That is exactly what we're going to do. So first thing I'm going to do is I am going to get my two platforms and I'm going to place them next to each other on my table. Cool. Done that. And then I'm going to get my safety pin. Find it. Found it. Here it is again in case everyone forgot what it looks like. And I'm going to get another strand of my hair from my hairbrush because I'm scared of pulling hair out of my head. And this is the trickiest bit of the experiment. What we're going to do is you're going to get your strand of hair, which you absolutely can't see on my camera, and you're going to actually tie it to the bobby pin. And what we're going to do here is basically we're going to be hanging weight off our hair strand to see how much weight it can kind of hold, which is kind of fun.
So it must be like probably a longer piece of hair then?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Probably a bit longer, but I mean, it's okay if it's not too long. I actually think this piece of hair I have might be a bit too long because it'll be a bit too long for my platforms. That makes sense.
I'm sure it's about to make sense.
It will. It will. Okay, so I'm just tying my hair to my bobby pin. And this is a fiddly kind of gig, so thank you for your patience, everybody. Oh, I forgot, you also need a pencil. My bad. Sorry. Sorry. Oh, can anyone tell that I just kind of like to make things up a bit as I go? But I promise I'm not making this up. Okay, you also need a pencil. Here's one I prepared earlier. Wow, it's pink and it says Layla because it's the closest name I could get to my name. Okay, I'm then going to tie my hair also to this pencil. So I've kind of got like this bobby pin dangling on this piece of hair.
Safety pin.
Safety pin dangling on this piece of hair. And then I'm also going to tie my hair to this pencil. So again, if you don't have these things, that is so fine. Just watch along because we're actually just going to be observing what's happening. And let me know in the chat, how do you think I'm going to figure out how much weight this piece of strand of hair can hold? Oh my gosh, it's really hard to tie. Like, how am I actually going to do this experiment? I don't think this is going to work.
You know what I'm thinking about this experiment?
What are you thinking, Sarah?
It feels like you're preparing for a magic trick.
Oh, does a bit.
Yeah, it's like I've got my platforms and I've got my magic pencil and I've got my safety pin and I'm tying the bits together because when you were holding the hair in the air before with the pin attached, it was like the pin was floating.
Oh,
a very magical feeling science experiment, this one, I think.
Oh, I'm so glad. And again, yeah, feel free to have a go at doing this magic science experiment a little bit later if you don't have all this stuff. We're just going through it together and we're just also being patient while I try to tie a bit of hair to a pencil. surprisingly difficult task, this one. But, you know, we're going to get there. Yeah, tell us in the chat, how do you think we're going to actually perform this experiment? How do you think we're going to make our hypothesis? Not our hypothesis, how are we going to make the experiment happen? Or what is our hypothesis? Does anyone know what that word might mean? Hypothesis? Sarah, have you heard that word before?
Hypothesis. Yes, I have. Because
in the chat.
When we're coming up with experiments, you've got to think about what you're experimenting about.
Yes, yes. So I'm experimenting how much weight my hair is going to carry. So I guess my hypothesis is my hair is not going to carry very much weight because, as we know from my previous experiments, it's kind of damaged. So you can see here, I have tied my hair between this safety pin and this ladler pencil. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my pencil in between the two platforms. So we've kind of got this safety pin dangling from my platforms. Pretty cool. I'm then going to get my Ziploc bag.
Oh, I forgot about the Ziploc bag.
Yes.
There we go. Yeah.
There's just so much stuff happening here.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to get a weight. Now, I want to see, first things first, if my hair can carry this right shoe. This right shoe. Tell us in the chat, does anyone know what right shoe is? Does anyone reckon it's actually a ditto right shoe? We're going to get specific. So we're going to weigh right shoe so we know specifically how much weight our hair can carry. My right shoe weighs 6 grams. Tell us in the chat, are we thinking that my hair is going to be able to carry, a single strand of my hair is going to be able to carry 6 grams? What do we think? What do you reckon, Sarah? Do you reckon it's going to carry 6 grams?
6 grams. I hope so, because I'd love to think that maybe that you could tie that in your hair and that you could just add some nice little accessories. But let's
so what I've just done, chat, is I have just, it's a bit hard to see, I've just safety pinned the Ziploc bag to it, and then I'm going to hang it between my two platforms and we're going to see if it holds. Ready? Can I see in the chat? Ready? 3, 2, 1. My hair is strong. It can carry 6 grams. Oh my gosh, I'm actually really surprised by that. Okay, let's see if my hair can carry, I'm going to go up a bit. I've got this pig.
Oh.
Let's see if the hair can carry the pig. First, I'm going to weigh the pig.
Weigh the pig.
The pig also is 6 grams. Wow, that's really cute.
Okay, so you've already got 6 grams in there and we're going to add another 6 grams. So tell us in the chat how many grams that is.
How many grams is that? Begins with a 1. Well, begins with a 1. I'm calling it begins. Okay, so I've got the pig and the right shoe in the Ziploc bag. Let's have a go.
Oh.
I don't know if it's going to hold. It's still a little heavy. Oh my gosh.
Maybe your hair's stronger than you think, Laura.
I am so surprised. Okay, let's have a go with a little bit more. Okay, let's have a go with this necklace my mum made me. My mum made me this necklace that she molded from a soy sauce bottle. I think it's pretty cute.
Cute.
Yeah, it's really cute, isn't it? Yeah. So I'm going to weigh my little necklace. Oh, that's 11 grams.
Whoa.
Okay.
So we have 6 grams plus 6 grams, and that's 12 grams. And we're going to add another 11 grams with Laura's necklace. Tell us in the chat how many grams we would be up to.
6 plus 6 plus 11. This feels like a lot of weight. Oh, gosh.
Is it still holding?
It is. It's probably a bit hard to see with the video, but yes, it is still holding.
I feel like we should put a book in there.
I know. I feel like I should just go like the heaviest thing. What if I just put, I'm actually like, I really want to try something super heavy now because I'm like super impressed with my hair. Okay, I've got this guy. This little buddy, who, by the way, I am such a fan of. This buddy is 52 grams.
52 grams. That sounds like it'll make a difference.
Okay. So let's see if my hair can carry. We've got 11 grams plus 6 grams plus 6 grams. So tell us in the chat what's that. Plus 52 grams. So if my hair can carry this, honestly, I'll have the strongest hair in the world. I'll be super impressed. Oh my gosh. Okay, it's already falling off the platform. So I'm actually going to hold it because it's so heavy.
Wow.
Are you kidding me? Is that all that conditioner I've been using? Wow.
Maybe your hair is healthier than you thought, Laura.
I guess it is.
Yeah.
There you go.
All good experiments must come to an end.
They
And
must.
so your hair is healthy enough to hold that amount, but not for very long.
And you know what it was that made it break?
What?
I applied a bit of downwards force. Bit of distance for you there. So that was really fun, actually. I really like that experiment. So chat, let us know if you managed to have a go at that, or if you're going to have a go at figuring out how much weight your hair can carry a little bit later, because that was just really fun. Now, just quickly before we do kind of say goodbye, let's have another quick talk about jobs in science, because we had a little bit of a talk at the start, but we've got a bit of context now for what a job in science might be and kind of what kind of stuff you might do in a job in science. Now, we've had a really an awesome chat with Sunsilk about this, and we've kind of asked them, because obviously there's lots of science in here, right? We kind of said, hey, what are some science jobs that, you have? And, they were talking a lot about something called R&D. Now, maybe our parents or guardians might know. Does anyone know what R&D might stand for? R&D. Research and development. R&D.
R&D.
R&D. R&D. Well, I mean, I've just written actually the stands for research and development, but what might it be? What might you do if you work in research and development? Tell us in the chat if you know. Here's an example. So here is one of the very amazing Sunsilk employees, Kirti, who is, a consumer technical insight lead for beauty and personal care at Unilever ANZ. And she's been awesome enough to send us a little bit of a bio about what she does in her job. So I'm going to read that out for everyone, just so, we have a bit of context about what it might mean to work in research and development and what it might mean to be a scientist in a super big company. You know what I mean? So I'm going to read out this little bio now. So as a consumer technical insights lead at Unilever, my job is primarily to provide technical insights around claims, trends, and the science behind Unilever's products, providing the scientific evidence for the claims that are featured on them. Another large part of my job is communicating to our customers, the technology behind our products, such as explaining how specific hair care formulations work. Wow, so she obviously knows a lot about how the formulations work. So she obviously knows like kind of what goes into shampoos, what goes into conditioners, all that kind of awesome stuff. And also how she can talk about it with other people, which is pretty cool.
And she also talked a bit about trends. And so if you think about, all of the products that exist, particularly, all of the Sunsilk shampoos, for example, do we think that they're going to be the same shampoos we'd be using in, say, 20 or 30 years? Maybe. But maybe there's going to be trends and things that we want to do differently. And so what we do is we do some research around what are some of the new products that we would like to see in the world. And then we do some development, which involves lots of experiments about, let's try to create a strawberry smelling shampoo for curly hair. And so we think about what are some of the combinations of things, and then you do heaps of experiments on them and also ask customers if they like them. And so that's what you do when you do an R&D, is you think about the future and you think about innovating and coming up with new ideas and then testing them. And it's super, super fun.
That is such a cool job. That sounds so much fun.
It's like the really fun jobs because, you're literally building the future, and what a great opportunity to get to do that. It's so cool.
That honestly sounds like such a cool job. Let us know in the chat. Does that sound like something that might be super fun for you? We've got one more awesome story from Jacqueline about kind of her work as well as technical project lead for her Unilever ANZ. And Jacqueline has said that as the technical project lead, my day-to-day focus is on delivering innovation and supply chain projects. However, I also do formulation development and testing, which is that stuff Sarah was talking about just before. My role is quite extensive, working with cross-functional teams, both local and global. That's pretty cool, get to work with overseas people, across the supply chain to review and design product concepts and bring them to the market. A lot of this involves looking at data insights, products testing, and the science behind the products we are introducing to customers. That is very cool. Sounds like Jacqueline has like a super kind of fun international job. Gets to talk to a lot of like overseas people and test out a lot of different products, right?
Sounds so exciting. And also the idea of introducing these new ideas to people. So we also have to be great communicators and thinking about, well, we've come up with this experiment, but how do we explain it to somebody? How do we explain this new shampoo or conditioner so that people actually want to use it and try it out and see if it works for them?
So cool. Such a cool job, honestly. I reckon I could work in R&D.
Oh,
Sounds pretty fun.
Absolutely. Look, and you know, in some ways we do at Girl Geek Academy.
That is true, Sarah. That is very true. Now, everyone, I don't know about you, but I actually just had so much fun having a go, learning a bunch of things about science by doing a little bit of theory research and then having to go with some experiments. Now, if you do any further science experiments, maybe you have a go at seeing how much weight your hair can hold and you want to have a chat about it, please feel free to send any future questions or findings to hello@girlgeekacademy.com. That's our email address. We're always so happy to chat about any awesome science or any other STEM discoveries you might make, because we always want to be bringing each other up, supporting each other, and celebrating all the awesome stuff that we are figuring out together. Because, you know, that's what it's all about, right? It's all about having awesome mates to celebrate cool stuff with. Hey, Sarah, what was your favorite thing about what we kind of learnt today or had to go at doing today?
Well, I liked talking about hair dye. That was fun. And then I think I thought it was super hilarious when your hair finally wasn't strong enough. Because it surprised you. And what a great experiment that you get to be surprised. It was stronger than you thought. And then you kind of thought it's really strong and then it wasn't. And that was great. What about
my favorite too, actually? I liked being surprised by my science experiment. I mean, I was always a bit surprised, but that one I was like, wow, I'm impressed and shocked. Tell us in the chat, what was your favorite thing we had to go at doing today? And what's something you'd maybe like to experiment a bit more with in the future? Now, I just had so much fun. And if you had a lot of fun too, the awesome news is we have a bunch more of these workshops in the future as well. So, you know, there's another workshop going to be happening in the future and we'd love to have you join along. If you've come along to this one, you'll have a Google Calendar invite for the future sessions as well. Thank you so much for coming, everyone. I hope you had an awesome time and we'll see you in the future. Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
Bye. See ya.
Pink is pretty. Pink is soft. It's time to rethink pink. Pink is possibilities. Pink is the future. Pink is strong and shiny. Pink is what we make it. Rethink Pink with Sunsilk.